Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and every time I can start a video by telling you that by the end of the video you'll have an aha moment, I think you'll have at least one or two of those in this video. Every time I can tell you that at the beginning of the video, it's a good thing because those are my favorite videos and I think they're probably your favorite videos. And this is one of those. Let's get this started by saying that Leonidas needs to get some sleep. This guy has been working around the clock and really putting out some good information this week. And so I want to give him some proper credit here. The first thing I've got from him is 5 new Ripple customers revealed, 17 running on the cloud. And here's his article. His website, for those of you that don't know, is xrparcade.com. And he has everything you could want to know about Ripple and XRP on this website. But if you go down here, it says typing the power of RippleNet Cloud in a new one-pager on Ripple's website about RippleNet Cloud. Ripple outline the product's benefits. They go through all these benefits, like it enables the ability to send and receive payments with one integration amongst all customers on RippleNet, meaning less friction and standardization for scaling purposes. Goes through all of that. I just wanted to show you the customers. It says, interesting, Ripple also revealed 17 of its customers that currently utilize RippleNet Cloud. And so it outlined all the different companies. You'll see, I think I saw, MoneyGram's on the list. You'll recognize a lot of those names. Okay, and then you'll remember the other day, Matthew Lyon came up with this. He knocked it out of the park on this one. Brian Brooks, he's the comptroller of the currency, who worked at Coinbase, directly oversees First American Trust that selects Volante Technologies, who is a Ripple partner, to replace its legacy banking system. We went through that the other day. So here is what Leonidas came out with. Volante's platform can be used to settle through XRP. Now, that came from a tweet from Matthew Lyon. This guy's both of these guys, they're like all-stars this week. Matthew Lyon. Follow him, by the way. If you don't follow him, it's at MATTHEWLINY. This guy's one of the best researchers in the XRP community. But he found, this is the tweet that Leonidas wrote this article about. He asked Volante, he said, hello, Volante Tech, will XRP be a possible settlement mechanism for this platform? Thank you. And they answered him, Volante's platform can be used to settle through XRP via our Ripple connection. And they've got a link here. We can't wait to get more banks on board. Does my 7-year-old need to draw you a Volante picture? I mean, come on. But trust me, folks, when I say that here in a second, if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to be blown away. All right. So then there's this, for those of you that haven't seen it, from the XRP Monkey Exhibit A. Volante has been sleeping with Ripple since 2015, 2016. This is a tweet that I have shown you before in the past. It's from Volante, this is back on August 13th of 2015. Lots of interest in Ripple Ready VolPay at Volante, and it's from one of the guys there. And it's Monica Long and Chris Larson, apparently at some kind of conference. That's way back in 2015, but pretty darn cool picture there. All right, here's an interesting thing right here as well. Yesterday, William Shatner did a little tweet. I said in my retweet of his, don't be surprised if Binance gets a new pitchman. I've said for a long time on this channel, going back maybe as far as 2018, that don't forget William Shatner, the guy that was on Star Trek. He is the master marketer, okay? For those of you that were around, you'll remember he was the pitchman for Priceline.com in the .com boom, okay? And I learned at that time that this guy is the master marketer. He chose one of the winning horses coming out of the .com thing, and there's no telling how much money he made in that during the dot-com boom by marketing one of these major dot-com companies. So when you see him do something like this guy knows. We've seen him kind of trolling the blockchain space for a year or so now. And he gives a shout out to Catherine Coley from Binance.us. He may as well just come out and say, I want to be your pitch man. That's what I think he's saying right here. He says, Catherine Coley, hello. And then she replied to him in there somewhere. Let me see if I can see it. I saw a reply somewhere by her. Let's see if we can. No, I don't see it right now. But anyway, she did reply. But don't be surprised if I'm telling you, you're going to see that guy pop up if he's not too old now. I hadn't seen him in a while. But you're going to see him pop up as a pitch man to someone like Binance or Coinbase. Who knows? We shall see. Maybe Ripple. I don't know. I don't know if that's Ripple's thing. Okay, now let's get to some aha moments, folks. This article came out today, all right, out of nowhere. XRP isn't a security, declares former CFTC chairman, all right? XRP isn't a security, declares former CFTC chairman. I'm just going to read you a couple of things from this article, but first I want to tell you, this article is based on this that was put out. It says former CFTC chairman Chris Giancarlo and Conrad Balke of Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher discuss Ripple and the application of U.S. securities laws to XRP. So this article from Forbes was written on that piece put out by Chris Giancarlo. So I'm going to read you a couple of lines out of this article, and then I'm going to go to the actual write-up by Chris Giancarlo. Here's the first thing. The bombshell paper titled Cryptocurrencies and U.S. Securities Laws Beyond Bitcoin and Ether, co-authored by commodities lawyer Conrad Balke of New York law firm Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher, LLP, methodically reviews the criteria of the Howey test, established by the SEC in 1946 to determine whether something is security, and point by point argues that XRP does not qualify. Rather, the paper argues, like its name would indicate, cryptocurrency is a currency of perhaps more interest to the Federal Reserve and central banks than securities regulators. Then it says, if Giancarlo is right, though, Ripple could end up being one of the most valuable startups in fintech. Okay? All right. So now I want to take you and show you a section of the actual write-up from Chris Giancarlo, because I think this is key. What he does in this section, to sum it up myself, is he's showing you a separation between the XRP price and what goes on with Ripple. Further application of the Securities Act disclosure regime would offer little value, as it has become clear from the lack of significant correlation between XRP's market value and Ripple's performance. In other words, they're two separate things. That disclosure of Ripple's business activities have little impact on XRP holders' expectations or decisions. Further, while Ripple may have insider information about its own activities, as all privately held companies do, this would not constitute material non-public information with respect to XRP, given the absence of any meaningful relationship between Ripple's operations and the price of XRP. So he's showing you a separation of the price versus Ripple, okay? Price of XRP versus Ripple. Now, here's what I want to show you also before we finish this. At the end of this article, here's your first aha if you have more than one, but this is a for sure aha. At the very bottom of the write-up by Chris Giancarlo was this, and I tweeted about it. So the guy that created the digital dollar project, by the way, Chris Giancarlo is not just anybody. He created the digital dollar project, which is trying to explore how you would create a digital dollar for the United States. He and his brother, Charles Giancarlo. His brother, by the way, was at Silver Lake Partners, which is where Glenn Hutchins worked. Glenn Hutchins, remember, is on the board at Digital Currency Group, which owns a portion of Ripple. Go down the page. Is this digital dollar project, one of the partners is Accenture, who is also an early investor in Ripple. Now, back to this. So the guy that created the digital dollar project, who I've been talking about for a while on this channel, is Counsel to Ripple. There are no coincidences. Hashtag zero doubt is not just a hashtag. This is what's at the bottom of his write-up. Christopher Giancarlo is senior counsel and Conrad Balke is counsel at Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher. Mr. Giancarlo previously served as the 13th chairman of the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The authors wish to acknowledge the assistance of that person and that person, associates at Wilkie. Wilkie is counsel to Ripple on certain matters and relied on certain factual information provided by Ripple in the preparation of this article. Let's look further at who Christian Giancarlo just told you that the XRP price is separate. You know, the XRP price hasn't reacted. Remember, how many times have we heard about this and talked about it online? The XRP price since 2018 has not, remember, it hit an all-time high in 2018. Since that time, XRP, not only did it crash, but it has not reacted to any positive news out of Ripple. And boy, have they had some great positive news for the last 2 or 3 years. The price of XRP has not reacted to any of that news. It has stayed in a pretty reasonable price range, okay? It's never reacted. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. But here's what I do know. Everything I just told you about Chris Giancarlo, plus this. Trump administration, this is from October 22nd, 2019. Trump administration popped 2017 Bitcoin bubble, ex-CFTC chair says. Now, one thing I also know is that the Bitcoin, all of the altcoins, including XRP for the most part, when Bitcoin crashes, they crash. When Bitcoin goes up, they go up. It's been like that since 2017 and before. There's not been a great decoupling yet, but the price has followed pretty much what Bitcoin has done. But back in October 22nd, 2019, Chris Giancarlo admitted this. Chris Giancarlo, who left the U.S., the CFTC, at the end of his 5-year term as chairman in April, told CoinDesk in an interview, one of the untold stories of the past few years is that the CFTC, the Treasury, the SEC, and the National Economic Council director at the time, Gary Cohn, believed that the launch of Bitcoin futures would have the impact of popping the Bitcoin bubble, and it worked. In a speech at the Pantera Summit in San Francisco on Monday, he elaborated further, saying Bitcoin's dramatic price run-up in December 2017 was the first major bubble following the 2008 financial crisis. That's why the Trump administration acted in concert to address it in a pro-markets manner, he said. Bitcoin futures listed at the CME and the CBOE were announced CFTC, dramatically, the price fell dramatically in the subsequent weeks. We saw a bubble building, and we thought the best way to address it was to allow the market to interact with it, Giancarlo told a crowd gathered at the Ritz-Carlton on Nob Hill. Of course, there are different views, If you don't have that derivative, without shorts in the market has no pessimists. If you do believe it's a ridiculous price, but you don't own, there's no way to express that view. So he was just helping out, you see? If you don't have that derivative, then all you've got are believers, and it's a believer's market. They didn't want a believer's market. They wanted to crash the market. Why would they want to do that? Why would they want to crash that freaking market? XRP rode up in that market, and it did really well. Why did they want to crash that market? I want to say it a third time. Why did they want to crash that market? And then you've got this. The CFTC, this is a quote from him, the CFTC staff handled it strictly on procedural grounds. But at the leadership level, I communicated with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who we talk about a lot on this channel, and NEC Director Gary Cohen. And we believe that should Bitcoin futures go forward, it would allow institutional money to bring discipline to the value of the cash market. Giancarlo told CoinDesk, and that's exactly what happened. Why did they want to crash the market? I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm going to ask it one last time because I think you all know why they wanted to crash that market. And I want to pose one other question to you before I ask it again. And that is, if they can crash the market by doing things like this, can they also let this market fly like a flywheel when they want to and when they're ready? And are we witnessing the final developments of their wanting this market to fly? Why did they crash that market? The federal government told you they crashed that market. Why did they want to crash that market? And don't give me this BS about wanting to protect consumers. That's not what these people are about. It's about the money, folks, and it's about all the money, not some of the money. Digital assets, this whole thing is about all of the money, and it's all tied together. And I'm going to further tie all this together for you right now. This is Chris Giancarlo talking to Perry Ann Boring. Now, by the way, and I told you on my channel the other day, Perry Ann Boring she created the Chamber of Digital Commerce. She kept on coming up in all of my research and different things. She kept popping up. And so I sent her a direct message because she does follow me on Twitter. I sent her a direct message and just said, hey, thought I'd reach out kind of thing. You keep popping up with what I'm looking, my research and everything. Thought I'd say hello. No reply. She may just be busy, but she knew who I was enough to follow me, but no reply. Okay. I want you to watch this where she's in it. Now remember, let me give you her resume before I go on. Founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. She was also a legislative advisor on financial services to Representative Dennis Ross, January 2011 to 2013. Oh, what do you know? She was an intern at the White House right after the financial crisis, January 10th to May 10th, for 5 months. She was in the White House, right? Okay, listen to this. Now, what have I been telling you since I started this channel? All of this has to do with the financial crisis. These people, I'm telling you, from the financial, Lehman Brothers scared the living you-know-what out of these people. From that day, it's not a coincidence that Bitcoin was created out of that. None of this is a coincidence. Bitcoin, Ripple, all of this stuff, it's not a coincidence. This is for the purpose of being rolled into all of this, and all of these people are actors. The world is a stage, folks. The world is a stage. Listen to what he says.
Experience that really seared the opportunity for blockchain in my memory actually goes back to the financial crisis, when central bankers were calling brokers like mine to find out what was going on in markets. They were concerned about the amount of credit default swap written against major financial institutions, major banks, and yet they had no way of quantifying the exact exposure. They thought at the time of the financial crisis that the amount of exposure that Lehman was subject to was $400 billion in outstanding notional amount. What they didn't know, what we now know, the actual amount was less than $9 billion. The difference between 400 billion and 9 billion in 2008 could have been the difference between what we got, which was a TARP program that was large and untargeted, or a very targeted rescue of one institution. Rescue or not, at least a policy choice could have been there to make a targeted response that could have changed. So the ability to be able to record all the exposures of an institution on a blockchain, which regulators could see in real time, could have been transformational at the moment of a crisis. And it really seared in my mind why this technology could have a role in preventing a future crisis of that nature. But it could be so much more. I mean, it could change the nature of payments, change the nature of marketplaces, to move settlement systems that we've become accustomed to 2 and 3 days down to instantaneous change. I mean, it's a power is extraordinary, and I feel this is one of the most exciting times to be in markets, to be in finance. I think we're going to look back 15 years from now and realize this was a turning point in the technological, the ability of markets to adopt this really fundamental technological transformation, and I'm excited.
It all went back to the financial crisis for him, right? You know what it kind of reminds me of is this. Chris Larson on stage at Money 2020
is 10 years out on the financial crisis. We still don't have the infrastructure perhaps to prevent the next one. And I think this is where digital assets can really help, because an efficient digital asset can really solve some of the key problems in global liquidity. You know, the world's got trillions and trillions of dollars tied up in liquidity just to get around how clunky the movement of value is around the world. If with a really efficient digital asset, something like XRP, again, that's what we believe will be the most efficient, you can now reduce trillions and trillions of capital from being tied up. So you can make those transfers instantly as a bank or as a payment provider or as an enterprise without having to have money pre-positioned all over the world. So that
the world is a stage, folks. Now, remember back to Perry and Boring, right? This girl here that's doing the interview, because she's all over the place with this Chamber of Digital Commerce, and Christian Carla, who's like on, I think he's like an advisor or something on the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Well, remember when she was at, this is when she was at Bretton Woods, the 75th anniversary. She's having a debate. What should our global reserve currency be, featuring distinct viewpoints argued by this person, well, here she is.
Change is the only constant in life. And our global monetary system is incredibly sick, and there's symptoms of this all around us. Global debt is at unsustainable levels. Global trade wars are escalating. Inflation is on the rise around the world. We're over-leveraged. We're hundreds of trillions of dollars in debt, and central banks are not equipped to deal with these consequences. Adjusting interest rates and printing more money are not going to fix these problems. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. To steal a quote from Albert Einstein.
All right, just wanted you to see a little bit of that. She's in that debate arguing that she's arguing in that debate right there that a digital asset should be the new world reserve currency. That's her platform. Well, she runs the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Well, who's members of that? Well, there's Accenture, who's also behind the Digital Dollar Project, and you'll see all the names, but you'll also see our favorite, Ripple, and you'll also see R3 there, by the way, who, by the way, based on my research, I believe the name R3 comes from one of the companies that bought a lot of the Lehman Brothers assets. That was a spinoff of some guys at Lehman Brothers. I believe R3 was named, I can't prove it for a fact, but I believe it was a spinoff company. R3 is literally named after a company that was hatched out of Lehman Brothers, in my opinion. All right. And then finally, so this is the digital Chamber of Digital Commerce. And then you've got this. You know how we keep seeing Brad Garlinghouse popping up at the DC Blockchain Summit 2020? Well, guess who sponsors that? That would be the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And the DC Blockchain Summit.com website literally has a picture of Brad Garlinghouse as on their cover page. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that the world is a stage. Thank you for listening.